Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for joining me for this brand new interview. Okay, this is cool. Okay, so who I have with me today, uh, trained with the likes of Seth Rollins and Mark Brave, and also made his debut on AEW Dark as a one-on-one competition with Ricky Starks. Very young athlete going into the wrestling world. You may have seen him all over the Midwest area, kind of more of the preferably kind of that East Coast area. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the one and only Travis Titan. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me. It's Merrick Brave, by the way.
Merrick Brave. Oh.
And,
I keep forgetting that wrong.
It's all good. It's all good. I also trained at House of Truth with Truth Martini before I went to Black and Brave. Mm-hmm. Just a little side note to add there as well.
I got you. So speaking about Travis Titan, I mean, you obviously did make your AEW Dark debut. But before we get into that, I do want to go into your background, where that passion for you in terms of professional wrestling came from.
So a lot of it stemmed from an athletic background, but also about the time I was like 4 or 5 years old. One of the first memories I had of pro wrestling was when Hulk Hogan, made the infamous heel turn. And I remember talking to my dad and being like, "Dad, why is everyone so angry at him and throwing trash at him and stuff?" And it kind of just started everything from there. Just watching it with my brother growing up, and him and I always having like our carpet wrestling that we would have and getting on the belts and being mad if one or the other actually beat each other. So, I mean, it started ever since I was young. But that first genuine moment was when Hulk Hogan turned. Obviously, didn't realize the magnitude, but it generated something in me that was kind of nice.
I think that reminisces so well with your professional wrestling, because seeing a moment like Hulk Hogan turning Hollywood and going into the NWO back in the 90s with WCW Nitro, I think it really reminisces with kind of the storytelling with your professional wrestling.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's like the best part about it all too, and it seems more difficult at times to stay within like that long term, because I mean, the NWO, they had like year-long storylines and stuff like that. Like the whole build-up with Sting not wrestling for like an entire year, and like the build and the anticipation was so great. You couldn't do that nowadays. Like fans would just be like, nope, I'm ready to go to the next thing, But that's what got me hooked from the beginning, was just all these larger than life characters that you could suspend your disbelief for. And it's just something to professional wrestling, man. It's unlike any other. It's like a whole other world, and I love every single second of it.
Absolutely. And I do have a sidebar question, because you did mention about the NWO. Aside from, of course, the original three, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hollywood Hulk Hogan, was there a favorite NWO member that you had? Because there was too many.
Yeah, no, they ended up going overboard with it. But I always loved Macho Man Randy Savage. He's like one of my top 3 growing up. Maybe not as much with NWO, but I would say Macho Man. He just was amazing.
Absolutely. And then so you talk about your origins of this passion for professional wrestling that reminisces all the way to your career now. Of course, you are still in your 20s, killing in the professional wrestling scene. How does it feel being at such a young age, still, getting all your foot in the door with professional wrestling?
Oh, I mean, it's great. I mean, it's a grind, especially with now, because, there's very few opportunities out there. So like, you're trying to do anything that you can. And I mean, I'm willing to go out there and showcase myself, whether it be for like $1 or no money at all. Like, I really don't care. But it's an awesome opportunity to go out there every single time, whether there be fans or no fans, because, people are watching regardless. And it's, like I said before, a feeling like no other when you step out between that curtain and that ring. It's just so awesome. It's like you're in a play for a sense, but in like a physical interaction at the same time.
Absolutely. Professional wrestling is an art, and the way that you interact with the crowd and kind of get them hooked in the storyline, I think it's truly special.
Yeah, it's, like I said, man, it's a lot of fun. And like, there's my home promotion here at SCW Pro. We have like those longer storylines just because we have a lot of guys that can stay around and, get more experience that way. So where like if you go out, like you're traveling, there's not as many stories, and like understandably so, because it's like, you know, you're trying to build in like these like dream matchups necessarily. But being able to hone my craft, especially at a place like SCW Pro here in Iowa, it's awesome to see how fans can be invested in that long-term storytelling on like an independent level too.
Absolutely. And speaking about Iowa, Iowa is also a state infamous for another professional wrestler that has absolutely killed it in the professional wrestling scene, especially with WWE. And I'm talking about Seth Rollins. You know, of course, he's from Davenport. And of course, you are from the Iowa area as well. Like, was there that connection automatically when you did enter Black and Brave Academy?
So like I traveled from, so like the Midwest, like we both get it, because I'm from Michigan originally, but I decided to move to Iowa because I thought this would be best for my career. But as like training has like ended and like I've progressed now through everything, I've maintained a really good relationship with Seth Rollins. There's a lot more that we can relate on than what you would like realize, because like being like that Midwest small town kind of level, there's so many different things that you didn't realize were so similar between the two of us. And he's actually become like quite a good friend of mine now, and I'm very, very thankful for the mentorship, the what's the word I'm looking for, the just almost like a brotherhood in a sense, because like he's just helped me out with so many different things, and I can't even begin to tell you how thankful I am for him and his friendship.
Absolutely. It's always that friendship that's most important. But speaking about training at the Black and Brave Academy, is there like a certain protocol now, especially with quarantine happening? Like, is there more precautionaries? Is there more, you can't do as much stuff as you could before COVID had hit? Like, is there anything different about training?
So like, yeah, everybody always has to come in and get their mandatory temperature checks and stuff, because I help out there with like the fitness aspect of things. So like I help like coach the students there that are currently in class, and when they come in, they have to make sure they get temped. They have to make sure they wipe everything down. If they're just kind of chilling there or whatever, they have to always make sure they have some sort of mask on. Usually, like if they're in the ring, they're okay to not wear a mask. We've been fortunate; we haven't had really like any issues with anyone testing positive, because everyone's been diligent about where they go and what they're doing. When we work out, you know, it's only like a few people at a time. We try not to overload it with how many people are there. We don't necessarily right now have a strict limitation for how many people are in the gym at once, but when people see that there's kind of like more than what there probably should be, some people like tend to leave. So it's good. I mean, everything right now though seems to be running pretty smoothly, I'd say.
Absolutely. It's always great to have that precaution with you, just to make sure that everything goes well, everything goes safe. It's almost like a little mini bubble in a sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. It's 100%. Like, I mean, there's been so many different transitions what we've had. Like when we first started, it was kind of like almost everybody where like it was like, yes, it's serious, but it wasn't like, oh, it's not going to affect us, right? But then when it was getting, you know, more and more serious, and I was like, okay, there can be no more than 10 people in the gym at a time. Then we've kind of like laid that back. But like, so now we're still in that transition state where it seems like it's going to get a little bit worse now. And thankfully, but not thankfully, this current class is about to graduate. So we'll have like that free period to like see where we're at and kind of how we can move forward with things.
Absolutely. It's always great to have that precautionary with you. But I do want to talk about or transition into Travis Titan and his origins as well. You're coming from Michigan, you know, kind of a relatively small state in the United States. Can you talk about what it was like growing up a wrestling fan in that area?
I mean, because like there's my little group of friends that thankfully kind of enjoyed it too. And it was a lot because of my brother and I being so into it. We'd always just be playing like the video games and stuff come up. Even my friends that weren't real into wrestling, it was always, you know, like the Rock's, Stone Cold, Goldberg. I was a big Goldberg guy growing up just because he was so intense, and my love for football too, I think attracted me towards him. But no, man, my friends were always all about it. A lot of the things that we'd like celebrate, like when we played football or basketball, would be wrestling related. So it just seemed like everything, no matter what happened, always led back to that.
Yeah. And what's cool about it too is that also your athletic background has really rubbed off on your professional wrestling skills as well. Do you think that more professional wrestlers, especially now, who have those athletic backgrounds, have a better advantage into the business than someone that's barely starting wrestling school and that's technically their first athletic experience?
I do think it has some benefits for sure. Like just because you do a lot of like practices and stuff that help like make sure like you stay healthy, I think is the main part of it. I don't think you have to have any sort of athletic background to like make it big by any means, you know, because there's a lot of guys that are super successful that just didn't do any sort of athletics. But I do think the main benefit is like knowing how to take care of your body, like the workouts and stuff you've done before that help like prevent injuries and stuff is very critical too, because with as physical as pro wrestling is, like if you're able to train and take care of your body in a certain way, you have a huge advantage in that.
Absolutely. And speaking about Travis Titan, I do have to ask your reaction to when you got that call to AEW Dark. Was it something of excitement, or was it something that it was like, man, this is way long overdue?
I mean, it is very exciting. Like, I don't think, like, yes, part of you always wants to be like at the bright stage, like at the front of the line as soon as you get in. But you just know in this business, it's just not possible for most people. So when I got into contact with them, it was super exciting, super humbling, and I am more than thankful for the opportunity that they were giving me. And hopefully I'll be back soon. And I can't say much more about AEW than what I can right there.
Absolutely. It seems like they're treating their talent especially so great right now, especially with the pandemic. You know, of course, they're taking their protocols. They're doing their best to keep their, talent, whether that's the independent talent, showcasing in front of AEW Dark, or if it's their current roster. I feel like that the environment over there is so different, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's just so relaxed, man. Like you go there and just everyone's super nice, super helpful. It just seems like a giant family, to be honest with you. It's really cool to experience, especially at such a high level. So, like I said, man, I can't say better things about them. It's awesome to see, and I'm super excited for the future of pro wrestling with just that.
Absolutely. And now I'm kind of curious, because when you did debut against Ricky Starks, the Titantron and the music really stood out to me, because again, that really looked like the definition of Travis Titan. Of course, I do have to admit that I did have to do some research upon your debut about who you were and what the background was, but just that entrance alone and the way that you performed against Ricky Starks really kind of showcased to me who Travis Titan was. So with all this said, was there any part on your part of like, okay, this is the Titantron I want and this is the music I want?
Nope. I had no say in it whatsoever, man. It was cool because I didn't realize the Titantron itself had my logo on my vest until like the second or third time that I saw the clip and someone pointed it out to me, like, oh, like that's like your vest on the thing. I was like, oh, dude, that's really cool. No, I didn't realize that at all. So no, man, like it just goes to show you how much time and like they take in to like look at all that, and like even just setting something up as simple but not simple like that. It's cool to see that they're, while like you may be like an enhancement talent for the week, they still are interested in you and like willing to do things for you as well.
Absolutely. And before I get into my next question, because I'm really interested in that next question, I do want to talk about working with Ricky Starks in general. What was it like kind of working with 1/3 of Team Taz or FTW and working with a talent that was a former NWA champion and kind of working with someone of that talent?
I mean, it's humbling because he's one of the top wrestlers in the world right now. I think he's like 5th ranked when it comes to singles championships for AEW. And Moxley's the top ranked professional wrestler in the world. So that goes to show you just how high up he is there. It was humbling. It was awesome. It was a tough battle. It was a lot of fun, a lot of a good learning experience for where I'm at. I think, at first coming out there, I was a little nervous, but then once I got in there, locked up with them, it was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, I feel like I belong on this stage. I feel like I can hold my own on this stage, and I'm ready for whatever's next, and I'm ready to do whatever it takes to stay on that level.
Absolutely. You saw within your match that you and Ricky automatically had a good chemistry with each other because, of course, you had your offense, and of course, Ricky did get the win afterwards. But it really proved how Travis Titan could really step up to the best of them.
Yeah, man. It's like I said, if I got to have the chance to be in there with him again, I really think we could create something special. Given the time and everything, I think Ricky and I would be able to do something really good.
Absolutely. And now going back to that question I wanted to do as a sidebar question, if you could have any song, whether that's, a generic song from your indie days or just any song in general to play as your debut for either AEW, Impact, WWE, what song would you pick and why?
I'm not usually good with these, but my fiance really likes the song "How Legends Are Made" by Sam. I don't know how to pronounce the last, like Sam Tianese or something like that. That's a good one. I'd come out to Skillet, Feel Invincible, like ever since I've started. So that'd probably be one that kind of be nice, just because it's the one I've used for like the duration of which I've been in professional wrestling.
Man, those are great song choices. Of course, Skillet. Yeah. I have to put that out to you. Very legendary songs for Skillet. Not putting that on their song legendary. But speaking about Travis Titan, you did mention about your fiance. How does it feel, kind of having that support system with you, for your family during your journey as a professional wrestler?
Oh, she's awesome, man. She supports me with everything. I can't thank Abby enough for the love and admiration she shows towards me. Like, whenever I'm feeling down, or if with the whole pandemic going on, the big opportunity I was supposed to have that got cut short because of what was going on, she's been there every step of the way, and I can't thank her enough. She's been my rock, and if she sees it, she'll probably get all giddy about this, but she has, man. She's awesome. She's one of a kind, like the most sweetest person I've ever met in my life. And I'm thankful that she said yes, and that we plan on spending the rest of our lives together.
Well, that's absolutely beautiful, my friend. Well, I want to wish you the best and best wishes in the future as well. But you did mention about COVID. A lot of professional wrestlers were impacted a lot by COVID. A lot of bookings were canceled. A lot of bookings didn't happen that were in the talks of happening because of COVID. So when COVID had hit, for the news came out about March 13th or March 16th, around that time. Was there any set plans for you, or how much did COVID impact you as a professional wrestler?
I was actually at the Performance Center about to do a tryout. Like, we literally got there that day, or like the night before. And I remember it all vividly. I was talking to Seth, and like the NBA season had canceled, and I was like, what the heck? I was like, well, this is wild. And then I had saw that SmackDown was supposed to be in Michigan, ended up being canceled there, and was going to be performed at the Performance Center on Friday. And I'm like, dude, we're not going to be able to have this or anything, are we? And he's like, no, I think they're probably going to end up canceling it. So we got there the next morning, we came dressed up like I was supposed to, and then unfortunately they go, we don't want to stay short of like the opportunity that you guys are going to have. So unfortunately, we have to postpone the event because we don't feel it's fair for you guys not to get the experience that others have previously gotten. So totally professional on their end. And unfortunately, it stinks that we didn't get to do it, but I understand the precautions you have to take with everything. So.
Absolutely. And you did mention about trying out for WWE just in the mix of all this coronavirus pandemic. Do you think that if the virus did not occur, we would have seen you signed with WWE?
I fully do believe in my talents. Like, I work as hard as I possibly can, and I can't say for certain because, maybe I'm too similar to something they might have liked, but I feel like I would have been able to stand out enough with the way I sell, with the way I, the intensity and the believability and the storytelling that I can pull within a story. I feel like I would have done well. I think I could have stood out to them, but we won't know. Maybe we'll find out down the line. But I feel pretty positive about it. I think I would have done pretty well.
Absolutely. When you have that optimistic mindset, it always helps during a time like this.
Yeah, because you got to think of anything, and every little thing to try to keep your mind right, especially when you get that close and you feel like, the dream for me had always been to main event WrestleMania, be WWE champion. Like, honestly, the greatest of all time is what I've aspired to do and to be. And to be that close, it was pretty demoralizing. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it was pretty demoralizing, but everything happens for a reason, in my opinion. And we'll see where things go, where I end up, and ultimately, everything happens for a reason. So.
Absolutely. And not only talking about that, but also talking about Travis Titan. You did share the ring with a lot of professional wrestling stars, especially within the past couple months. You shared the ring with Ben Carter, who had showed up on Impact Wrestling, AEW on multiple occasions. Just being in the mix of stars that have either signed with all these major companies or have at least appeared, especially during this pandemic. What was it like kind of being in the ring with those kind of stars?
So it was a funny story between Ben and I. So Ben trained at Black and Brave as well. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people compared us, because we looked alike. We looked a lot alike then. He had actually chipped a tooth, and then I chipped my tooth a week later in the exact same spot, the exact same tooth. And we had worked with each other last year, and Ben hadn't been working a whole lot, but it went really well. And I think it was a good amount of confidence that built within him as he went back to school. And then fortunately, we got to have our match in July, I think is what it was. It was our first matches back after 4 months off, and it was 90 degrees, super hot. But it went pretty well, especially for the layoff that we had. So it was cool, man. I think we had a lot of chemistry together, and Ben's a really hardworking kid that deserves everything he's getting right now. He's killing it out there. He's done a fantastic job, and he's at where he wants to be. So it was cool to see that background, that story, and seeing the hard work that he put in that helps motivate me to try to get to where I want to be as well.
Absolutely. And it seems to me that both yourself and Ben Carter have the very similar work style. You guys put in the effort. You guys put it in 110% inside that ring. And you guys have a very, very, very speedy offensive style when it comes to your professional wrestling. Is there something about Black and Brave that really kind of pushed you guys to more and beyond when it comes to your professional wrestling?
I think just because you see, Seth there all the time and how well he's done, and you just see on a daily basis the amount of work that he puts in, the amount of time that he puts into every single student that comes through. How can you not help but be gravitated towards all of that and not want to work even more, because he's still putting in the work while he's at the top of his game. So if he's willing to do that, we should be willing to do that and sacrifice what we need to do to get the goals and dreams that we want to, achieve.
Absolutely. And it's just awesome to see, like I mentioned before, just he's putting in the work, you guys are putting in 10 times the work. And it's just awesome to see that kind of mentality.
Yeah, man, it's incredible, because he worked his butt off from day one. This was what he was gonna, Seth meaning, that is, he was gonna do this from day one. He had no backup plan. That was it. This was what he was gonna dedicate his life to. And you see everything that he went through, that he did, and the amount of work. And I see it now, because he's, like I said, one of my better friends, and I train with him pretty much on a daily basis when he's here. So to see him work as hard as he does at that close of a level, it's just awesome to see. And it's shows you how hard you need to work if you want to be at the top level.
Absolutely. Well, Travis, I do want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to get a conversation with me. But before we go, I do have one final question, and that is, of course, we are living in a pandemic right now. Sadly, it's not all rainbows and sunshines at the moment. But however, it really gives professional wrestlers opportunities to showcase themselves, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's on television, whether that's at live events, for those states that allow live events. So with all this said, is there a possible chance going into 2021 that we might see Travis Titan go to AEW, Impact Wrestling, or even possibly back to WWE?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. It seems like I had a positive reaction to my experience at AEW. We'll see, what happens with the future with that. They very well could possibly bring me back in. You never know. All it does is take one opportunity to showcase yourself. And I had like a little interaction with Alex Shelley in Impact previously. But we'll see kind of where things go from there as well too. So, I mean, that's the plan. I hope so. I think we have a chance to do something special in the next year or so. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, Travis, thank you so much once again. And for all those watching, listening, make sure you guys follow Travis on all social media. This link will be down in the description below. And we wish you the best, my friend. We hope that we see you more on AEW or Impact or even WWE. We don't know, but we wish you the best nonetheless.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, man.
All right. And until we meet again, I will see you guys in the next interview. Boom.